I had this YouTube channel for over a year and I never published a single video. Not because I had nothing to say. I had a lot to say. But because the idea of filming myself, seeing myself, hearing myself, and then publishing that video terrified me. My name is Tal. I'm 58 years old, and this is why it took me so long to finally press publish. The strange thing is, I've never been a shy person. When I was young, I loved being on stage. I acted, I sang. For a while, I even dreamed of becoming an actress. But at some point, I convinced myself I was probably not good enough, that people would ridicule me, that I would look stupid. So I let that dream go. And life took me in a completely different direction. I worked in beauty for many years. Most of my job was to help other people look their best. I was behind the camera, behind the scenes, behind someone else's image. And at the same time, I was also a trainer, a teacher, and a presenter. I even did a few TV interviews. So why did a YouTube channel scare me so much? Because YouTube felt different. YouTube was not only about being seen, it was about being seen as myself. No client, no team, no production, no one else to hide behind. Just me, my face, my voice, my thoughts, my truth. And that scared me. So for years, I watched YouTube videos. I had ideas. I imagined what my channel could be. Then I closed my laptop and said, not yet. I told myself I needed better English because French is my mother tongue. I needed a better camera, a better niche, more knowledge, more confidence, more everything. But honestly, I was just scared. Then, in May 2024, I discovered a new YouTube channel. It was Alexa Serenoya. One of her early videos appeared on my feed. A couple of months later, the algorithm showed me another one of her videos. I clicked, and the difference was incredible. Something had changed: her presence, her confidence, her energy, her clarity. So I subscribed. Watching her grow really inspired me. That was the real first tipping point for me. Because I saw something important. She did not wait to be perfect. She became better because she started. And still, I did not start. I kept watching. I kept thinking. I kept preparing. By the end of 2024, I even bought lights. I bought a tripod. I tried to film myself. And I hated it. I hated how I looked. I hated how I sounded. I hated everything. Still, I created a channel, but I posted nothing. Then life happened. By the end of summer 2025, someone in my family became very ill. So I paused my life and traveled to another country to help. At the beginning of 26, I moved countries partly to continue taking care of them. And while I was there, I realized something. Over 2 years had passed since I first saw Alexa's channel. 2 years, and I had done nothing. I was still waiting for the right time, the right setup, the right version of myself. And then I thought, at 58 years old, how long am I going to keep waiting? Because maybe the right time never arrives. And then I understood something very simple. I was more tired of hiding than I was afraid of being seen. Another reason I finally started was my daughters. They are young adults now, and I wanted them to see that it is never too late to start something new. And maybe I also wanted to live up to the nickname they gave me. They call me Mom the Badass. And at some point I thought, okay, if I am really Mom the Badass, then I cannot keep hiding, right? So for the first time, I stopped asking, what if this doesn't work? And I started asking, what if I never try and regret it later? So here I am, starting a YouTube channel at 58, because I want to talk. I want to create something that belongs to me. I want to build a community of people who may inspire me and who maybe I can inspire too. And yes, I also hope that one day YouTube becomes a source of income. I'm not going to pretend otherwise. At this stage of my life, that matters. But something unexpected happened. Before YouTube gave me a single dollar, it started giving me something else. It gave me a challenge. It forced me to learn how to tell a story, how to write better, how to edit, how to understand lighting, how to speak to a camera, how to be patient, and how to stay consistent even when very few people watch. And I only have 4 videos posted, so I'm not pretending to be an expert. I'm not. I'm still at the beginning. But already this process is changing me. Now I'll tell you a secret. There are days when Mom the Badass sits in front of the camera and wants to turn it off. There are days when I think, who is going to care what I have to say? But then I keep recording and I publish the video anyway, even when it isn't perfect. Because I'm training, just like at the gym. You don't see results on the first day. You show up, you repeat, you get stronger. For me, YouTube is not just a platform, it's a doorway, a way to meet the women I want to speak to, a way to reach someone, somewhere who may be feeling stuck. Maybe she hears one sentence and thinks, wait, maybe I'm not done. That matters to me. I believe that when an idea keeps coming back for years, you have to pay attention. This channel was one of those ideas. It kept coming back. And at some point, I asked myself, what if this fear isn't telling me to stop? What if it is telling me that this actually matters? That's when I realized something. Sometimes you have to start while you're still afraid, and the fear becomes smaller because you're finally moving. So I started, not perfectly, with no guarantee, with doubts, with a camera I'm still learning to speak to, with videos that may not perform the way I hope. But I started, and that for me already feels like a victory. So yes, I started a YouTube channel at 58. It isn't easy, and I definitely haven't figured everything out. But I finally understood something. I can't spend my life talking about courage while waiting to feel comfortable. I can't encourage other women to move forward while I stay behind the curtain. So this channel is part of my own shift too. It's not only something I'm building, it's something that's building me. Maybe that's what happens when you finally answer the little voice that keeps coming back. You think you're starting a project, but really you're discovering a new version of yourself. So maybe this video isn't really about YouTube. Maybe it's about the thing you keep postponing, the thing that won't leave you alone, the thing that scares you because it asks you to be seen. Maybe your thing isn't a YouTube channel. Maybe it's a business, a move, a creative project, or simply the decision to stop making yourself smaller. So I'll leave you with one question. A year from now, which would be harder to live with? Trying and discovering it wasn't for you? Or still wondering what might have happened if you had started today? For me, I already know the answer. That's why at 58, I finally pressed record.